What up, what up, what up? Back in this bitch again for this special occasion. We're gonna get real heavy. I don't normally smoke on camera, but for the fall season, for the death spirits, man, we're gonna smoke up this time. Shout out for what up, Teenage Jesus? Up in Cali, was that Anaheim? Yeah, Anaheim, California. What's up? What up, what up? I'm good. You know what I mean? We about to get into this shit. You say you back at it? Yeah, definitely. Smoke one. You know what I mean? For all the smokers out there or potential smokers. What up, New Noise? The deal is. So, I want to make this video to really make it clear as to what this really is. You know, you see it in there, what this really is. Break down the science of it, and you smoke your life away every day. I mean, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Unless it's benefiting you. If it's benefiting you, you're getting your money up, your bills is paid, kids is taken care of, fuck it. But you know, so everybody's different. See, that's the first thing. We all may have similar conditions, such as, you know, you may get dehydrated when you smoke. You may get cotton mouth. You may feel the high, right? What up, Detroit? What up, Tess? What up? You said 2, I just looked at 222. Yeah, 222, you know what I mean? 222, 555, 444, obviously 666, we fucking with the devil's leaf. See, the devil's leaf is an old folk name for weed. Ganja, herb, etc., 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 gas, you know, endo, whatever you want to call it. So the old folk title is devil's leaf. Now, why would they call this the devil's leaf? We'll get into that shortly, but I'm definitely going to light this up so we'll be able to channel these spirits and see what comes out. So first and foremost, you know, we're going to give honor to the ancestors, the death spirits, the life spirits. We're going to give honor to everybody watching. We're going to give honor to, you know, everybody who needs help right now. Everybody who wants to smoke but don't have the smoke, whether they don't have a weed connect, they may not have their money up right now, whatever the case is. All the potential smokers who's going to smoke in the future, shout out to you. You know what I mean? Big Cub, what up, what up, what up, Tammy? Shout out to Chicago. You know what I mean? So I don't think I'm going to be able to light this with one hand, so I'm going to set this down real quick and we're going to spark this up and we're going to get it started. So give me 1 second to spark up. Peace, 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 peace. Let me spark this shit up. I'll put it like this so y'all can still see me. You at work, you can't get it in. You know what I mean? I'll smoke one for you then. See, I normally don't smoke. See, that's the thing. I haven't smoked in quite some time, so my tolerance is not really high. That's why you only see me smoking a little bitty piece of blunt. It's not rolled fat or nothing. See, I'm not a daily weed smoker at this point in my life. You all in, you get panic attacks. Wow, that shit is crazy, right? I'm not a daily smoker at this point. I used to be in the past, but now I smoke on occasion, and this is one of the occasions, which is why I want to speak about this, at least to bring some clarity to anybody who may not truly understand what they're getting themselves into, or for the people that don't understand that may be against it. It ain't about whether it's legal or illegal. You know, real smokers is already smoking before it was, you know, passed on the law books, because it would just end them to smoke. You know, I mean, they may have been in a certain environment. It may help them ease their stress, you know, whatever the situation may be. So we're going to light this up and we're going to get it in. You know what I mean? So shout out to everybody once again. So let's get this started. Weedology 101. It's a little bit windy today, so give me 1 second. All right, we're good. All right, first thing is, you like the night videos? Shit, I'm gonna start doing them at night. You know what I mean? So it's all good. Astral over here when you done. Yeah, we're gonna see what's up. We're gonna see what effect this caused. See, I don't even know how this is gonna make me feel. I haven't smoked in quite some time. It's been weeks. It's been weeks, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna react. First things first, you should not be coughing when you smoke. You should not be coughing. Can I freestyle something, like a rap? I mean, I could. Reading the tarot, offer advice, they call me ancient pharaoh, straight metaphysics, profound lyrics, and in your mental, I solidify any lunar essence found near the sky. Psychedelic visions is always tempting my mind's eye. You know, play that back if you don't understand. Why not cough? You don't cough because you're not supposed to be smoking for show. All the people who's taking these big ass hits and inhaling this shit, blowing a bunch of smoke out, they're just doing that shit for show. You don't smoke for show. You want to inhale fully your herb. You want to inhale with your diaphragm, not your chest, your diaphragm. You want to inhale slowly. See, let me give you an example. Sometimes you want to put your fingers right at the tip and you want to do like this with your lips. I thought coughing was to know if it's really good. No, motherfuckers cough because they can't control the smoke. What's making you cough is the smoke. The smoke is too hot and you're inhaling too much and it burns your lungs. The hot smoke is burning your lungs. That's what makes you cough. You're not coughing because it's good weed. You have to learn to control the fire. Control the fire. When you control the fire, you don't cough and you inhale way more than you normally would, which will result in a completely different high, right? You would like to hear some hip hop based on spirituality? Just check out my channel. Check out all the music I uploaded. It's all about spirituality. It's a lot of ass shaking though. Spirituality, some ass shaking, and you know, some ignorant shit. I'm not gonna go fully spiritual, because that's no fun. You gotta turn it up, you gotta mix it up, be balanced. You see, I invert my lips. Don't be touching lips when you sharing blunts and shit. Suck your lips in. Put your fingers like this. Simple. See, no coughing. Also, you want to exhale slowly. Don't just blow it out. Don't do that. Inhale very, very slowly. Hold your breath and exhale very, very slowly. For example, let me do it. Inhale, slow. Exhale, slow. You probably can't see the smoke, but don't just blow it out your mouth. You want to make love to the herb. And just from that hit alone, that hit I just did, it just had a whole spike in my high. You have to take your time. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got to teach motherfuckers how to truly use this for your spirituality, not motherfuckers who just get high. For spiritual people who want to get the best out of their herb, who want to have the best smoking experience. Right? Pass it. You know what I mean? You already know what it is. But definitely, it's best to smoke alone as well. You know what I mean? Smoke by yourself, for the most part. All these social smokers are smoking with everybody, right? Are we really trying to smoke with everybody? I don't think so, right? You know what I mean? What up, what up? This is prestige shit. You don't smoke weed because it's GMO. It's mind over matter. You know? If you don't want to smoke, then don't make it because it's GMO. Everything is fucking GMO. The air is GMO, if we really want to look at it. Chemtrails and all these. You got every reason in the world not to even eat food at this point. You know what I mean? When you smoke weed with other people, it's weird. See, that's what I'm talking about. Do you really want to smoke with everybody? Pretty much when you socially smoke, you're smoking with everybody. This is a prestige act. This is something you're doing for your spirituality. There's no need to be smoking with the whole world. You want to be more reserved when it comes to your spirituality. Devil's leaf, that's the title. It's a folk name. It's an ancient name for weed. It's the devil's leaf. Why now? Why would they call it the devil's leaf? Right? It's very interesting. And then you have to go into what the devil is and who is the devil and things of that nature. Let me spark this back up. Right? And if you've been keeping up with my videos, you should be very familiar with the devil from a spiritual point of view. You know? Give me 1 second to spark this up. The devil's leaf is what you program your ganja. You definitely program your ganja. You need to direct where it is that you want to go. Because it's called getting high. You're taking the trip. You're traveling, right? Mentally and spiritually, you're traveling. So you want to program. You want to direct your flight. Be the pilot of your flight. You know, which is why you prefer to smoke alone. Now, every now and then, if you want to smoke with other people on occasion, you do so, but majority of your weed consumption should be alone if you wanted to enhance your spirituality, because whenever you're in a social group, it's not really, unless you in a social group and everybody plan to do a ritual, like everybody plan to go into a temple, everybody plan to be in a certain mind state and have a certain type of experience, that's different. But most of the time, that's not what's going on. You just whip out the weed and you just, you know, smoke with whoever is smoking because they want to smoke. So if you want to enhance your spirituality, you can do it in a group, but do it in ritualistic form if you wanted to enhance you. But again, you don't need to do that every time you smoke with other people. So if you want to smoke on occasion and be social, no problem. Knock yourself out. But leave the spirituality out of it, because it's not really for a spiritual purpose. You may be talking about spiritual concepts. People may claim to be spiritual, but you may not be smoking for a spiritual experience. Again, let's break down what a spiritual experience is, because this can be different for everybody. And everybody has their own definition, because it is intangible. It's an intangible concept that's subjective to everybody's experience. That's why I say everybody's flight is different. Everybody high is different. When you become the pilot, or when you are the pilot, you're not going to always want to go to the same place. So also do your best to smoke in different locations. Don't get into the habit of smoking at the same place. So you want to pick a different location to have a unique experience, because when you are constantly smoking in the same place, the high or the experience starts to become numb and then nulls out. When you switch up your positions and be in a different type of frequency every time you direct your flight, it will enhance the experience, because now you can be more in tune with the physical experience as well as being high, as opposed to, you know, sinking into your couch somewhere or sitting down. You want to learn your own high. Your own high is based on what type of flight you want to have. And everybody's flight is different depending on what your desires are, how you feel emotionally, what type of frequency your thoughts are in, and what type of goals you have, and, you know, who you are internally, what's written already in your DNA. So we have all these variables in play. Smoking weed with binaural beats, you definitely want to experience different types of things. Some people prefer binaural beats. Some people are going to prefer hip-hop. Some people prefer rock. Some people prefer nature. Some people prefer silence. So you have to discover what each thing does for you. You're going to have a different experience based on the type of music that's going on, your environment, the type of mood you're in at that particular time. Every time is unique, so no two highs are the same. No two trips are alike, because every day is different, every minute is different, every second is different, every moment is different. So you want to be absolutely clear to not only be in control of your flight, because it can get out of control again if it's too much energy going on, if you don't understand. Everybody has had a bad high before. So when you take control and you become a pilot of the flight, of your flight, you understand that you have to take certain precautions. And you also want to understand, you want to know how to fly. For example, if you want to master being the pilot of your flight, you have to learn how to fly. So you can say when people have flying dreams, if you ever had a dream where you're flying in a dream, it's the equivalent, to being so-called high. And again, this is why it's referred to being high, because you actually are higher. It's like your spirit has become more aware of what is already going on. See, the high doesn't do anything that's not already happening. You just become more aware of your bodily experiences. You may be able to feel the blood flowing through your veins. You may be able to feel your aura, the electric. You will be able to feel your aura, as it's emitting whatever frequency that's being emitted from the aura, you'll be able to feel it. Everything becomes a little bit more sensitive. You're just becoming more aware of the natural processes that's already going on in the body. So when you combine this with directing your thoughts, you having a certain experience, creating a certain visual experience, zoning out into the music, creating a certain type of vision, and you apply your emotion into it, This is like, it's alchemy. You are a scientist consciously directing not only your bodily responses and chemical responses, you're directing your mental vision, you're directing your emotion, and you're directing your bodily positions, which you may want to be in meditation pose, you may want to be walking, you control the environment with your physical body. You control the environment. So you're doing the fire, water, and the air, or your desires, your emotions, and your thoughts. You're doing all that eternally. And those manifest as, okay, I'm going to place my physical composition in a certain type of environment to match this type of frequency that I'm emitting internally. So you combine the two. So this is alchemy. You're combining the two. When you combine the two, now you direct your experience. So give me 1 second here. Now let's go into the different ways of how you can ingest the herb. You have blunts, you have rolling papers, you have small pipes, you have bongs, you have vaporizers. The difference is, let's go into the elements. The weed, the ganja, the devil's leaf. Why is it called the devil's leaf? It's because it's connected to the planet Saturn. Weed matches the frequency of the planet Saturn, or your root chakra. It is perfectly synced with that vibration. That's why it's called the devil's leaf, because Saturn obviously is Satan, Baphomet, so on and so forth. So the association with the devil is based on its vibration. So it wasn't by mistake. That wasn't a title that was just randomly thrown out there and accepted. So once we understand the planetary connection, so you learn the planets so that you can identify which chakra it is. When you can identify what chakra it is, if you're into binaural beats, now you can listen to the frequency of Saturn using a binaural beat, or you can consciously program yourself to tune in to the frequency of Saturn or your root chakra. You smoke weed and thought you died. This is everything that I'm talking about. That death experience or that death vibration is, of course, it can be Mars. See, this is when you add the blunt, the tobacco. If you smoke with tobacco, now you're channeling the planet Mars or your solar plexus. So when you combine Saturn with Mars, that's why, compared to tobacco versus just Saturn directly, as when you smoke a joint, it's completely Saturn. When you add in a tobacco, now you're smoking a mixture of the Saturn frequency and the Mars frequency. So not only are you tapping into Saturn or the root chakra, now you're tapping into the solar plexus. See, the whole thing about the chakras is that this is how you astral project. You astral project through your chakras. Your chakras are your weapons, so on and so forth, your guides, all these things is happening through these glands. Because what these glands do, they secrete certain chemicals. So when you say the solar plexus, you're talking about the adrenaline glands. So when you focus on your solar plexus, it's basically telling your body to secrete the chemical of adrenaline, to have an adrenaline rush. So every time you focus on a certain chakra, it's like stimulating the gland so that it secretes a certain type of chemical into your bloodstream. And that chemical that is now being secreted into the bloodstream is going to give you a particular type of experience. This is why it's important to understand the planetary connections with the herbs, so that we truly understand what's going on a metaphysical level as well as what's going on the spiritual level. Be careful with the Saturn energy. See, what makes the Saturn energy so powerful, what makes it such a thing, is because when we're talking about the root chakra, you know, we're talking about the deepest, darkest rooms of your mind. Because these are the things that were happening in your childhood. It's your foundation. It's those things that were around your type of environment, the type of experiences you had that made you what you were, or gave you a certain type of perspective of life based on your roots. That's why the energy is so strong, just like a tree. A tree has strong roots. When you tap into the root chakra, you're tapping into your roots. And when you tap into your roots, there's a lot of things there that are very unconscious. Just like the things that are in our blood, like genetics is going into the genetics. Like you are a certain type of way based on genetics. Like that has an effect on your anatomy. Like there's a reason why you may be 5'2", and there's a reason why somebody else may be 7 feet. It's not just based on what type of profession or what you do in life. Like that actually is going down to the genetics, which is going into the blood. So once you understand your blood and what's in your blood, you can pinpoint basically the type of star constellation you're from. We want to go into the star constellations, things like that. Now we're going into the cosmos. So when we talk about being high, we're talking about accessing the cosmos. When you get high, you are accessing the cosmos. So once you are now accessing the cosmos, now you're directing your ship. Where do you want to go? So if you get high enough to access the cosmos, or from an inverted perspective, to access the deepest aspects of your subconscious or your unconscious, your roots, your Akashic records, that's better, your Akashic records. When you want to access your Akashic records, which are basically records that have already been scribed on. This is basically talking about all the things that happened already. So whenever we talk about accessing the Akashic records, we're talking about records that have, things that have already transpired, and you want to maybe tap into, you know, childhood memories, or as some people say, past lives. Going back into your past lives, that's talking about your Akashic records, things that have already have records. So when you access the roots, accessing the Akashic records, now you're finding out things that can take a long time to process and comprehend. It's like when somebody dies that was close to you, it takes you quite a while to adjust to it, and you never are the same. When you take a major loss, when you take a deep loss, you're never the same. It shapes and molds your perspective of life. You know, all these things have a part to play in how we perceive life and our personalities and how we were developed. You know, going all the way back into when you were inside your mother's womb. Even that far back, even far back when you were just a cell in your father's body, sperm cell, which got an electric charge, you know, and basically gave itself life. It actually had out of the 500 million sperm cells, the one that had the most determined idea is the one that made it. So right out the gate, we came into this reality supercharged, because not only did you just outrun 500 million other motherfuckers, you actually completed the birth. So right when we access this world, like, we're already mutants. We already on some superhuman shit. Then as a baby, when we see a baby literally learning everything from scratch, literally being in a completely new place and learning how to adapt to it. That's why it's your root years. It's from birth, you're being in a place that is completely new to you, and now you have to adapt. Little by little, you start to adapt to your environment. And as you start to adapt to your environment, your body starts to grow based on your level of understanding, and that's what shapes and molds you into who you see yourself to be. So this is going deep into the roots. These are why the if it's all about, again, if it's just about smoking just to get high, then you just kind of, you're on autopilot. You basically get high and hit the autopilot button, which is all good. There's nothing wrong with, you know, just, all right, I'm gonna go wherever life takes me. I'm just gonna have an experience, being spontaneous. So that's not necessarily bad. But at times when you do want to have a conscious decision as a type of what type of experience you want to have, now you can direct yourself, okay, based on what's going on in the blood, your DNA, your genetics, based on what type of blood that you carry, you know, based on what type of family, your family tree. Your family tree is basically, well, we're all connected by blood. See, blood is what links us together. Blood is what connects you to your roots. So based on blood, yeah, we have the same blood. We're family. We're kin. So the blood, tracing your blood all the way back to your cosmic origins, can give you a greater understanding of who and what you really are on a spiritual level, beyond the physical. This is the whole concept behind man, know thyself. Man, know thyself is, obviously, it's already written in stone. There's already records there. Man, know thyself means there's already records here. Study the records that are already here. Meaning you are already who you are. You just have to study what you already are. You don't become something you aren't, because no matter how much you change, you will remain the same in your essence. So one day, you know, you can be 100 pounds. The next year, you can be 200 pounds. Your body has to go changes, but you are essentially the same person. You have not changed at your core. Your body goes through its bodily changes all the time. You know, you have a new body every 7 years. Every 7 years, your whole system has renewed itself. So we change on a 7-year basis, just on a physical level. Now, all these things are going on beyond our sight. So if we start to look at things as solid, which that's why everything is vaporous. The universe is vaporous. Everything is vaporous. Nothing is solid as it seems. That's just how it appears when we put our focus on it. But when we actually see the actual processes that's going on, every day our body is going through changes that we cannot consciously see with our eyes, but it's a constant system, and it's a system, and it's interconnected, and all these things are acting as one unit. The same way when you think about an ant colony, the most advanced colony on Earth is an ant colony. The only thing that's more supreme is the body. This is why, man, know thyself. Well, what is it that I study that's already here? Your body. The body is what you have to study. So, man, know thyself. You don't just study the body, the anatomy. You study your anatomy, and eventually you're going to get to a subject of genetics, and that's a branch of science that is connected with the body. So the more and more you study the body, the more you understand what's already written in your records. So you use the body as a vehicle to study what's already written in your records. This is essentially the purpose of having a physical composition, is to use it as a vehicle to explore the records that are already here, the things that are already written within you, so that you understand what's going on and you can shape and mold yourself according to what you like. Because if you understand why you are drawn to certain things, why you have a magnetic attraction to certain things, whether it's certain people, certain places, certain things. We all have a magnetic attraction to certain things, although as we travel throughout the physical world, we start to sometimes lose touch of why we have certain feelings about certain things. For example, you may have just felt a certain way about a certain thing for a long time to not even understand why you feel that way. Sometimes this happens with gangs where the beef is just so old, like the youngest gang members don't even know how far back it goes. Like, yo, this is ancient beef. Sometimes beef is 50 years old, 100 years old. You know, that some beef lasts for generations. So there is generational beef between certain types of species, whether it's in the animal kingdom or whether it's in the human kingdom. So all these things essentially go back to blood. So when you trace the blood and it takes you to the cosmos by using herbs which affect your blood, because when you are inhaling the smoke, it's certain chemicals that are being flown into the bloodstream. That's the difference between smoking something and eating something. See, when you eat, like let's just say you ate weed, you didn't break it up, roll it up and smoke it, you were actually eating the physical weed, you will have a completely different experience because it takes longer to be, transmuted into the blood system. But when you smoke, it's a direct connection to your blood system. So what you're doing is altering the chemicals in your blood, which changes your vibration. Vibration is just the blood, the condition of your blood. The condition of your blood is basically what determines your vibration. So the more clean your blood is, then the higher your vibration, the more connected you are to your source. The more connected you are to your source, the more you know who and what you are, because you can study your records. You have your records right there in the open, and you can study your records. And the more and more you study your records, you can start to mimic that behavior in the physical reality so you can maximize your potential. See, everybody has potential, but it's not enough to say everybody has the potential to be anything they want. We all have the potential to be anything we want. But sometimes, I'm not going to say sometimes, all the time we must be ourselves. So whatever profession you choose to play out in your physical composition doesn't necessarily alter your essence. Your essence is never really altered. You are always what you were since the beginning. There's a certain part of you can say it's your spirit. You can say it's your soul. It's more so your soul because your spirit changes as you change. You may be in a certain spirit or a certain light one year and may be in a whole completely different spirit in the next year. So your spirit changes as well. You don't necessarily carry the same spirit, but you carry the same soul. Your soul is never altered. Your soul is that aspect of you that's always pure. If you want to understand the soul, your soul is that aspect of you that is always pure. If you can understand that, then you can understand the soul. So it's always a part of you that is unaltered by everything that has happened to us while we had this physical composition. So from that perspective, when you inhale the herb, and why it's connected to Saturn, is connecting you to that part of you that is unaltered, that part of you that's pure. And that part of you is pure, exists. It still exists. It just can get altered based on what the state of our blood is. The state of our blood can alter what we think is reality. Reality is altered by your blood. Based on the state of your blood, you're going to perceive a certain type of reality, because certain things are going to be clogged up. Certain things are going to become unclear. Certain signals are not going to be able to be sent and properly received because the state of your blood isn't in a sufficient position. Or your spaceship, the fuel isn't necessarily at its best state because it's been running too long. It needs to be cleansed. That's why every now and then you have to oil your car engine up just to keep it spinning, so that you don't have problems in the future. So the state of our blood is like what feeds us. Our perception in life is constantly being fed by the state of our blood. The state of our blood is altering what we perceive. So the more and more we cleanse our blood, and the more and more we understand our blood and understand our genetics and understand our roots, our records, the cleaner we can make our blood, because you start to make the transition in your lifestyle based on the information that you understand about yourself. Like if you understand it's not good for you to eat sweets, then you're going to alter your diet and not eat sweets. If you understand it's not good for you to participate in certain type of things, you're not going to participate in those certain type of things because you know it's not good for you. It's not necessarily based on a conscious decision. It's based on who you were in the beginning. For example, there's a reason why you never liked certain foods in your diet. Not based on what you consciously chose. It's just certain things that you will have an allergic reaction. You will have a bodily reaction that is, something that it has nothing to do with how you think. It's your blood doesn't react good to certain type of chemicals. So when you interact with certain type of chemicals, you have a reaction that is sometimes unfavorable. You have an unfavorable reaction because these chemicals do not interact with your specific blood type. That's why it's good to understand your blood type. There's certain things that does not interact well with your blood type. And all these things are going to affect how we perceive reality. So this whole universe within us, on a biological level, the human body, the spaceship, that's why as above, so below. That's just saying as above or as within, all these processes that's happening in our body, or how clean our blood is going to have an outward consequence or outward expression as to how we can sense everything around us. So for example, it's not necessarily that you're changing. When we talk about change reality, it's not that you are literally changing reality. You're not going to be able to change a rock, right? It don't matter how much I alter my reality, this rock is going to be the same. So when we're talking about creating reality, manifesting, attracting, we're not talking about necessarily changing the earth itself. What you're doing is changing yourself. You are adapting based on what you know to be true. Everybody acts on what they know to be true. You know you have a certain route to a certain destination. You know that route to be true, and it doesn't alter. So it doesn't matter how much you change your reality, you're not going to change what streets lead to what streets. They're already set in stone. So those are things, that's the different, or not necessarily the different, that's the Saturn energy, the things that don't change. See, all these other things change. But the thing that doesn't change, that's why lead, the lead is linked with the root chakra. Lead is linked with the root chakra. The metal lead is because all of the metals eventually will be lead. In time, when you give these metals time, they all eventually become lead. That's why Kronos, the god Kronos, is connected with Saturn, the timekeeper. Saturn is also connected to time. Like when you connect with the essence of Saturn, your timing becomes more efficient because you have more understanding of the internal clocks. Not necessarily time from a physical perspective. You know how to tell time already. It's your internal clocks or your internal processes. You become more aware of your internal processes, more aware of your timing, which allows you to place yourself in better positions to have certain type of opportunities. You are more aware to pick up on the subtle subatomic elements of nature. See, as we understand, like I said before, 2 out of the 3 realities cannot be seen with the physical eye. You don't see the metaphysical, and you don't really see the physical. You're only really seeing the physical, so you're only really seeing what is perceived by the eyes. But there is all type of other processes going on that we don't perceive. And they all are connected to a certain timing. They all have their own internal clock. They all have their foundation. They all have their root. They all have an essence so that they don't change their vibration. A rock will never be a piece of wood. There's something within that rock that keeps it a rock. There's something within that wood that keeps it a wood. It's never going to lose its identity and alter itself into a rock. Yo, what's going on? So if we understand that all of the metals eventually will be lead, the internal clock, the timekeeper, all these concepts are associated with the planet Saturn. So when you really want to smoke, when you really want to connect with your internal clocks, you want to connect with your Akashic records, you want to connect with your blood trail or your blood path, and you want to connect with the cosmos, anything that has to do with what we call spirituality, most of the time it's going to go through Saturn. It goes through Saturn. So whether you smoke or not, you can make a conscious decision to channel Saturn's energy. As I showed you in a previous video, I showed you, you can have Saturn squares, Saturn magical squares. You can have certain sigils that are connected with Saturn. You can work with certain Saturn deities. Whatever way you connect with your spirituality. You connect with your spirituality to influence the metaphysical realm. Before you alter the physical realm, you are influencing the metaphysical realm. What is the metaphysical realm? What's going on in your internal process. So you have to change what's going on in your internal process before you have a physical result. You have to clean your blood before you start to become more healthy. It doesn't happen in reverse. So you tap into the spiritual realm to influence the metaphysical realm so that you can have a physical experience. These are how the realms are connected. The physical realm is the medium between the spiritual realm and the metaphysical realm. So with the physical being a medium, that's why it's solidified or appears to be solidified. But we understand that by us tapping into the spirit realm or our blood, our genetics, our DNA codes, altering our body, we're going to be able to have an effect on our blood and what type of reality we perceive and how we are ultimately able to navigate life. When you're in a more healthier state, you can navigate life easier. Everything comes down to you navigating life. If we want to talk about survival, that's another element of Saturn, survival. If you want to connect with a certain type of animal, the animal totem that's connected to Saturn is the roach. They say a roach can survive a nuclear explosion, a nuclear bomb. What is it about the roach that makes it so superior to everything else that it will survive even an atomic bomb, nuclear bomb, atomic bomb? What is it about a roach that gives it that type of power? You know, you can go on YouTube and watch, you know, a documentary about the roaches if you're interested. You know, if you want to connect more and see basically their way of life, how the lifestyle of a roach. You know, what do they do every day? So at the end of the day, the survival element is expressed through the roach. So if you want to learn more so about survival or connect with the root chakra, your foundation, then you connect with the spirit of the roach. You know, a roach is feared by people. People fear insects. Even though they're so small, they have power. That's why we are afraid of them at times. So, you know, when it comes to survival, especially on a physical level, your survival is based on your navigational skills. You put it that way. Your survival is going to be determined by how well you are able to navigate life, get through the trials and tribulations through life. That ultimately will determine your survival, your timing, your inner timing, and to be at optimal level, to be at optimum health, to experience life at its fullest, you have to have clean blood. It's no way around it. So, whenever we think something as simple as smoking a herb, you know, it's done all around the planet, and it's been done for centuries. This is nothing new. We are carrying on a tradition. It's a tradition that was already established before we were even here. So we're not doing anything new. This is something that's been done forever. There is no time. That's why herb is also associated with Saturn. Just if you look back at how long humanity has been indulging in herb, you know, you can try to do that math if you want to, but you know, it's common sense that this definitely has endurance. This has survived. When everything else is gone, when you know nothing about cultures, everything is gone, somehow somebody remembered that this is a part of the culture. For some, depending on your blood, there's a reason why you may be drawn to herb and not alcohol and not other types of drugs. There's a reason why everybody has a particular preference. So if your preference is Saturn, there's a reason for that. And that reason for that can be found through exploring your blood. So, see, I am experiencing some cottonmouth to a certain degree, a little cottonmouth, but you know we flowing. So let's finish this off. And I just had to get that channel out, you know. So I see y'all active in the chat room, but I definitely had to speak that out as clear as possible so we can establish why you really should be doing it or why you shouldn't be doing it. Because again, this is not an easy thing to experience. Going to your roots and connected to your roots and man, know thyself, it's not simple and it's not easy. It's actually the most challenging thing to conquer, to establish. It's very, very challenging. Sometimes it can get very, very fearful. So it's not easy, it's not simple. It doesn't look good. A roach doesn't look attractive, but you can't deny its skill. So you still study it, you know, because there's something about it that doesn't change. It didn't have to be taught. It just always knew what it was, and it can't be anything else than what it is. We can't be anything else than what we are. So if we know who we are, all we can do is be ourselves. But if you don't know who you are, because our blood has been altered based on, you know, just living life, there's really no way to avoid this. So I'm not saying it as you can avoid polluting your blood. It happens when it happens. But when you do come to the conclusion, which again is Saturn, you're going to always come to the conclusion maybe I need to do some type of cleansing. Maybe I need to elevate myself. Maybe I need to do more. Maybe I need to work harder. Everything is going to always come back to doing something harder or doing something more. And it always starts with you clearing your blood, whether you decide to exercise, you know, take your health more seriously, alter your diet, so that the cleaner your diet, the less it alters the blood in a negative fashion, so that you can be clear and you can be aware of all your senses at all times. You can easily navigate this physical reality, but experience challenges that you can conquer. So we just out here vibing. You know, shout out to Saturn. So that definitely was, you know, the frequency of Saturn speaking is truth, is peace. You know. Give me 1 second. All right. Pick this up now. What's up, everybody? Somebody asked, how do you attract relationships? Well, definitely, if you took heed to everything that was said, that question should be answered. Keep your blood cleansed. You know, so I think all that was said is sufficient enough to have a clear understanding of Saturn, the black energy, you know. So we'll leave it at that. We'll say that's complete. Hopefully everybody learned at least one thing new, had an understanding. You know what I mean? So we're gonna get up out of here, and I'll hit y'all back real soon. Peace.